Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into some seriously mind-bending source material. Swami Sivananda ParamaHamsa's Siddha Vedam. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by the sheer number of yoga styles out there today, you're definitely not alone. But chapter 17 of this text offers a radical, almost startling simplification. We're going to uncover what it claims is the singular, true essence of yoga.
Think about it for a second. How many types of yoga are there? If you ask most people, they'd probably rattle off a dozen styles right away. You've got hot yoga, power yoga, vinyasa flow, yin, or maybe the traditional paths like karma or raja. Our modern culture basically treats yoga like this endless, all-you-can-eat buffet of physical practices. But the Siddha Vedam, it completely shatters that idea. According to the Swami, the answer isn't dozens. It's not even 4 or 5.
So the crucial point is how the Swami actually defines yoga. Purely and simply, it is the singular union of jiva, which is life, and Ishwara, meaning God. The logic he presents here is so incredibly straightforward, it kind of stops you in your tracks. Ask yourself, how many lives do you have? Just one. How many gods are there? One. Therefore, there fundamentally cannot be different kinds of yogas. If there's only one life and one God, there can literally only be one type of union between them. It's a striking baseline that sets the stage for everything else we're going to look at.
Let's move to section 1 and see how this builds. Decoding the paths.
Now, what's really interesting here is how this text handles all those famous historical branches of yoga we read about in ancient texts. If there's only one yoga, what's the deal with karma, hatha, and raja? Well, according to the Siddha Vedam, they aren't distinct physical actions or varied workout routines at all. The text radically redefines them. Take karma yoga. It's not defined here as selfless action in the outer world. Instead, it's an internal process, taking value, your life energy, and joining it with akasa in the Brahmarandra, the crown of the head. And then there's hatha yoga. People always think hatha means physical force, but the text explains that ha indicates nature, and ta means to close. It's literally about closing off the energy that's escaping and merging the moon, representing the mind, with the sun, which is prana or life. And Raja yoga? That just means concentrating Vishnu, the mind, right at its origin point between the eyebrows. So these aren't different paths, they're just different labels pointing to the exact same internal energetic alignment. And this total redefinition continues right into Ashtanga Yogam. You hear Ashtanga and you probably think of a grueling series of physical postures, right? Not here. The Siddha Vedam describes Ashtanga as a specific internal state where 8 mental modifications completely cease to exist. We're talking about desire, anger, greed, delusion, pride, jealousy, hypocrisy, and envy. These 8 vibrations of nature are literally brought to zero. They dissolve and merge right back into nature itself. It's not about twisting your body, it's the state of realization when these emotional distractions are entirely neutralized. Okay, let's dive into section 2, the ego's illusion. Because if yoga is simply the union of life and God, and it's all just one internal energetic process, you have to ask, what's stopping us? Why do life and God feel so disconnected to us in the first place? Well, the text explains that Jiva and Ishwara are actually 2 aspects of the exact same reality. The Swami points out that God dwells in the Brahmarandra, but simultaneously operates within us as our moving life force, functioning as Vayu, getting subtler and subtler. What this means is there's absolutely no physical or spiritual separation at all. God and life are already occupying the exact same space inside of you. So where does the problem actually lie? It lies in ahankara. You can really think of ahankara as the ultimate villain of this explainer. It's the ego. The text tells us that whatever is reflected in our mind actually originates from our own life force. Just like looking into a physical mirror, you see reflections of yourself when you look into the mirror of the mind. And these reflections, they form the ahankara, the ego. It is strictly because of this ego that the false distinction between life and God pops up. The text forcefully argues that when this ego is gone, there's nothing left to reflect. The whole illusion of separation just entirely vanishes. And this brilliantly illustrates our next point, section 3, the river and the stick. To help us truly grasp this, the Swami provides some incredible, vivid metaphors. Imagine a flowing river. If you take a stick and place it right in the middle of that running water, what happens? The water suddenly appears to divide, flowing on either side of the stick. It looks like 2 totally distinct streams, but the water hasn't actually become 2, right? Only the flow appears separated. The second you pull that stick out, the apparent division disappears instantly, and the water is revealed to be exactly what it always was, one continuous flow. The text uses this to explain that the river of life flows as one. Our mind is basically holding the stick of ahankara, the ego, and plunging it right into the middle of the river. It creates the mere appearance of a division between life and God. Take out the stick of the ego, and the separation is just gone.
Which leads us perfectly into section 4, the rope and the knots.
This brings us to the Swami's second visual metaphor. It emphasizes that the entire world and all its countless illusions are bound together by one single mechanism. The text states, the whole world hangs on this I or ego. Just let the gravity of that statement sink in for a second. According to the Siddha Vedam, absolutely everything we perceive in the material world, all our differences, our struggles, our apparent separation from God, it all hinges entirely on this false sense of I. The text compares this grand illusion to a conjurer's rope chain. Let's walk through it. Step 1. Karma, which the Swami identifies as life energy, acts as the main rope itself. Step 2. Our various thoughts form these false links and knots all along the rope. Now, step 3 is the absolute clincher. The end knot of I, the ahankara, holds the entire chain incredibly tight. As long as that very last knot is there, it doesn't matter how hard you pull the rope. The links just won't give way. But step 4 is the solution. Untying that single I knot instantly unravels all the other knots and differences. You don't have to go in and painstakingly untie every single thought knot. You just have to address the final knot of the ego to reveal reality.
Let's bring this all together in section 5, the one true yoga.
Now we arrive at the culmination of this teaching. Having moved past the illusions of the stick in the river and the knots in the rope, we're ready for the Swami's ultimate unified definition of what yoga really is. The text starkly warns that performing various practices while believing in different yogas means you will never actually attain true yoga. The Siddha Vedam is super clear about this. Over time, learned teachers called this singular state of union by different names, based on different perspectives, but they're just labels. If you get caught up in the labels, thinking you need to master a dozen different physical and mental systems, you are pulling at the wrong knots on the rope. Getting lost in the labels is the exact thing that prevents self-realization.
Which brings us to this absolutely foundational quote. The real and the only one yoga is the prevention of the wastage of energy and the concentration and storage of the same in us, revitalizing ourselves so as to attain the self. According to the Siddha Vedam, this is it. This is the core takeaway. The text challenges us to just forget all the complicated categories. It argues that the true practice is simply conserving your internal life energy. Stop letting it waste away into the illusions of the external world. Instead, use that concentrated energy to remove the stick, untie the ego, and realize the self. I want to leave you with a final provocative question to think about. Are you practicing different yogas, or are you working to untie the single knot of your ego? It completely flips how we view spiritual practice, doesn't it? The next time you think about your own journey, remember the teachings of the Siddha Vedam. It strongly suggests that it's not about adding more practices to your plate, it's about removing the one illusion of I. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope this really helped you grasp these fascinating concepts, and I'll see you next time.